All right, everybody. Hi, how are you tonight? Oh, gotta turn that off. So I'm gonna go ahead and move forward, so we can go ahead and get our guest out as people come in. I'll hold out a few minutes, to make sure that there are some people in your notification. I think just went out. So, um, my name is Tony. I'm from Kettle Kitchen. For those of you that don't know who I am, I decided somewhere along the way when I started doing chats that I wanted to, I'm all about really connecting the community in which I interact in. That includes canning, cooking, food preservation, prepping, and the other things that go along with that as well are homesteading, farming, things like that. And I wanted to try to bring this community together as much as I could. And in doing so, I decided that I wanted to do a live show late at night so our friends around the world, as well as mainly across the pond, would be able to have an opportunity to interact with us as much as they can. So that gives you a little bit as to what this is going to be about. I'm going to try to have guests on once a week if I can. We'll see how things go. But I'm going to go ahead and look at chat real quick and then we'll come back to it. And we do have a guest tonight. So I see Jesse with Lazy Days Ahead is here. Jesse is one of my moderators, and for however long he's in here, I greatly appreciate that. Chris and Larry Homestead, hello. How are you guys? Ariel, Viking Venturer, and Victuals. I always go by Ariel. I never really read the rest of it out loud. So, Growing with Hudson, hi, how are you? Let's see. Oh, and there's Leanne, the Mennonite Farmhouse is in the house as well. So, welcome everybody. I'm glad you came. As I was explaining earlier, primarily what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to go and interact with our friends who are across the pond around the world that don't have an opportunity to interact with us as much because of the time change. And so, in doing so, I've invited a guest along tonight, and we will go ahead and see who that is because I'm not sure if anybody knows who that is. And there we go. It's
Hello.
Blue. Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm awake. Ta-da.
Good. So while you were sitting back in the green room, did you hear what I said in my reason in wanting to do the live chat? And how do you feel about that?
I think it's awesome. I think
Okay.
it really is awesome because a lot of us, although we want to, support everyone in the community, it sometimes can be a little difficult and we have to go and watch replays or be up at silly o'clock. But since I'm up at silly o'clock most of the time anyway.
Why not be silly, right? So before we get too far into anything, why don't you tell us about Blue's Self-Reliance and maybe why you got started, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so Blue SelfReliance has sort of evolved over the last couple of years. It started off with just me doing garden to table stuff and showing what I was doing in the space that we were living in, and now I've kind of evolved it more out of what I feel is I want to do, which is teach the skills and show people how to be able to do the things that we're all doing when you've got really limited means to do so. And I think teaching the skills to absolute beginners is really, really important. I'm pretty much self-taught. I was a chef for 26 years, but all my gardening, everything that I've done over the last 20 something years as being self-taught. Pretty much.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, but I just wanted to share that with other people. It's 25 years ago, I wrote a program to teach teen parents how to do life skills, and it was a lot of garden to table stuff. There was a lot of budgeting in it. There was a lot of everything. And what I'm wanting to do with that now is actually teach that in video.
Got
Because
it.
I was teaching it at the time face to face, and now it's showing people that this is how you do the things. So yeah, because I think that will last longer.
I think one of the things I found very interesting, and I actually stumbled along to it once I started watching your channel more and more, was the budget part of it. And you really go into detail on very limited budgeting. There is a way for you still to get the things. You may not get the $300 piece of equipment, but there's still good, cheap in the sense of price, but not in the product, that you can get and still function on a budget. And I thought that was great. I love that.
I think one of the biggest issues when you have a very small income is people, when you're on an incredibly limited budget, so maybe you're on benefits, you're on disability benefits, or you're unemployed or whatever, having people come at you going, you need to save money, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, is really, really, it's a bit of a slap in the face, to be honest, because you're already doing those things. So for me, it's about teaching extra tips and skills from a place of that knowledge of living that life and being in that place. Some people say that you can't be poor enough to teach poor people how to live. Well, unless you've actually been there, you don't have that understanding, because it's really, really hard. I mean, the whole journey.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
In 2000, when just after my father had passed away, and I found myself with my two kids in a refuge, and we got involved with the local family support centre, and I was asked to teach a 16-year-old parent or 16-year-old single mum how to cook, because she was living on 2-minute noodles and Vegemite sandwiches and feeding her baby pureed Big Macs.
What?
Because that's all I knew. That's all she knew. She was never taught how to cook. She came from an abusive household.
Yeah.
You know, so it started there. And that's when I wrote the program then. And now what I'm working towards is turning all of that into something that people can watch on an everyday level.
I applaud you, because that's something 16-year-old mothers that feed their children blended Big Macs need to learn. I mean, that breaks my heart to hear that, but it's the reality out there. It is. I get it.
Absolutely the reality out there. And the other reality is that, you know, having people who are billionaires, millionaires telling you, oh, you should just eat white rice. It's like, really?
Well, and the hard function of that is everything that is white is not good for us, because it's been bleached, it's been processed, it's been, I mean, any nutrients in it have been extracted out of it just to make it a cheap product. That's the problem with it, which, while I do think that there are parental issues that contribute to it, I think it's part of where the weight issue, at least here in the US, I'm not sure what it's like in the UK, but that has contributed to it, because when we got to a point where nobody could afford it, they went and got what? They got pasta, they got rice, they got potatoes, they got white bread, because it was either the cheapest or it's all they knew. And here you go. Now I got a 16-year-old that's 300 pounds and doesn't know how to function.
Yeah.
Especially in the situation where the parents were not the neglectful parents.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, the way that things are at the moment, the wages, the cost of living is so skyrocketed out of the proportion of the average wage that everyone in the household has to work in some respects. So there's no time to be able to sit down with your kids and show them what you do. You know, we're now at a point where there's the third generation of kids that don't know how to cook.
You made that point in your, I think the last live I watched you in before you guys had your move, you made that point. And I really never thought of it until you said it that way. And there's I keep using the same word, but there's a realism to that. That is fact of matter. And I think you also, either in conversation with me prior or in that same live, made a comment. You went to teach a class and kids didn't even know what carrots or onions or celery were. I was blown away by that.
And that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what it's like now, where you've got kids who think that meat actually comes from the supermarket in plastic containers. They don't have the sense of that used to be a cow, or that used to be a pig, or that actually was a chicken. They just think it's a label in a box.
You are correct.
And the reality of it is terrifying for many of them because they haven't got a clue. They haven't got a clue. You know?
So in that, I applaud you because I think that's going to be a beneficial thing. If you can put that out on an electronic format and ease of access, because we're all used to, I like that instant gratification of some sort of communication, whether it's watching a video, a YouTube video, a phone call, whatever. They can watch it and then hopefully learn something in the process instead of just staring at a game or a useless video that's not giving them any information. So,
well, that's it. I mean, like, as a gamer though, I just like to say games have their place.
you knew where I was going with that.
I knew where you was going.
Okay.
But the problem is that we've also turned the television and games and videos and DVDs into our babysitters.
You are correct. Yes.
Okay. So people complain that their kids are gamers and all they're doing is that, but they're not remembering that when they were 6 months old, a year old, 2 years old, they sat them in front of that TV and let them just sit there.
Right.
So that's pretty much all they knew. Whereas my kids, they had breakfast, they were kicked outside the back door. See you, bye. Don't come back until you're hungry.
Yeah.
You know? And they were outside and they were doing things.
Excuse me.
You know?
Right.
Yes, we had consoles in the house because we didn't have a PC, but we had, you know, like the Mega Drive and all of those things, and the PS1 when it came out, because yes, my kids are that old. You know, my eldest is 31 at the end of this month. So, you know, it does go back that far. And yes, he is a gamer now, and unfortunately it's kind of taken over. But
I get it.
Yeah, but he was never taught that. It was
a learned environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had the best of both worlds. He's just chosen to go that way.
Right.
Which was a choice rather than something that was foisted on him.
Right. And there is a difference because I know, like with my two kids, and for anybody that may not know it, I have no issue telling them our two children are adopted. They're not biologically ours, but they are ours, and we would never change any of that. So that being said, they're still our kids. They're still teenagers or getting there. And they'll come home and they'll start cussing off the top of their head and then look and go, oh, I was like, what are you doing? You were not taught that way. You know better than that. Sorry, it slipped. And I'm like, I'd hate to be your teachers walking down the hallway and listen to that. That would drive me up a wall.
But that's also the reality of school, isn't it?
Okay. Oh, sorry.
That's also the reality of school. Kids are going to.
That's what I just said. I mean, that environment taught them that, and so that's what they know. I was a kid too. You were a kid too, and we all did our thing. I get that, but to some degree, it's like we teach our kids right from wrong. We do here at this house.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other 300 kids are that they socialize with on a daily basis do, but I do know some of their parents, so I get it to a point. My point is they know better and they get taught. And so the environment has to be the next reason behind it. So anyway, I get that. I just wanted to look real quick and see if anybody had a question for Blue. Go ahead and put it in there. Chris made a good, I'm going to pop this comment up here because I think it's a valid one.
Yeah, because I can't see chat.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. And it is sad that moms feel that they need
Yes.
to resort to blended Big Macs. I mean, I know we've moved past that, but that's the reality. I mean, people are just like, whoa by that, you know?
Yeah. Well, the other problem with that is that back in the 70s and 80s, KFC, Macca's, and a couple of others are the big named, you know, fast food places actually started sponsoring inner city schools, and they were putting their product in the school. So that's what the kids were being fed. Okay. Right. And they were also writing textbooks. Okay. So at that point, and they weren't good textbooks. They were just cheap textbooks. There was writing issues, there was grammar issues, there was factual issues, there was a lot of stuff in there that was just wrong. So you've got the kids that were growing up in those environments who don't know anything but Macca's and KFC because that's what they got fed at school. You know, and I think, and then they've got those all on their textbooks because they were cheaper for the schools to buy because they didn't have to pay for them because the companies just gave them out to them.
Right.
You know, so they were there for free.
Right.
So you've got that kind of environment, but you've also got the fact that it is about 5 times cheaper to buy things like Macca's and KFC than it is to buy the ingredients to make it.
Right.
You know, so if you're struggling and you maybe got one kid, it is cheaper to go and take them to go and get that Happy Meal than it is to sit down and make a meal for them at home.
Right.
You know, it's
no, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's what
it's just wrong, you know.
Right.
Over here in the UK, we have what is known as the sugar tax, which was started by a well-known chef with the initials J.O.
Sorry.
And he and I at some point is going to sit down and have a major conversation because he got it wrong. Because what's happening now is over here, probably 90% of the things that actually had sugar in have now got sweeteners in, and most of them are aspartame, which is now poisoning the kids, making it worse, giving them worse health conditions. And instead of fighting for basic ingredients to make food at home cheaper than the processed food, they fought for a sugar tax. And that's where it all went completely wrong. And fight for funding for schools to have proper cooking classes back, because the way that the cooking classes are run now is that they are voluntary classes, and they just say, oh well, we're making a curry this week, so go find yourself a curry recipe and bring in the ingredients. Yet when I was at school, we got taught the basics straight off. We didn't have to bring in ingredients. We didn't have to find the recipes, not until we were in the 6th form. You know, in the last 2 years of high school, kind of. So then it was different because the only ones that went in at 6th form to do things like home economics or cooking classes or anything like that was serious about it. You know, so that was different. But now they're teaching in ways that the kids are getting confused. Even when my kids were at school and I was working as a chef at the time, and my son comes home and he goes, Mum, teacher makes her muffins different to you. And I went, okay, how's that then? Because I just put dry ingredients in one bowl, wet ingredients in another bowl, and it all gets mixed in together. And it works, right? Simple. Well, she was getting them to rub the flour and the butter together like they were making pastry. And then the kids are wondering why they're not working and why they're failing, because they're doing it in a way that doesn't make sense.
So on that note, very specifically, thank you, Growing with Hudson. On that specifically, the easy thought process I have to that is that cooking can be easy, okay?
Yes.
But cooking is a science, and there is to a point, there is a method and process to it for a reason.
Yes.
So just slapping ingredients together and throwing them in a bowl and stirring them up doesn't give you that. It gets you that kind of a cake versus what it's supposed to be kind of cake.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
But also on the flip side of that, once you've learned the
Right.
basic steps, you can slap things together in a pot. You
Right.
can slap things together and make it, you know, really simple, really good. You know,
right.
Once you learn the skills and the ways to do it in a very simplified way.
Right.
And that's what they're not teaching. They're not teaching the basic skills
Right.
and knowledge, you know, or, you know, how to put certain flavors together or flavor combinations or whatever.
Right.
They're not teaching it. They're not teaching knife skills. They're not teaching how to use certain utensils. They're not teaching safety. No. They're just saying, oh, well, don't put your hand in the flame because you'll burn yourself.
Right.
You know,
I get it. I do.
You know.
So on the cost part of it, I want to throw this up because and many people have basically said to some extent the same thing.
Yeah.
So every other Friday we take the kids to McDonald's, just as long as they've done their work and the things they've done, because it's a treat that they enjoy. Okay. My daughter would live in McDonald's if I gave her the opportunity, but that's not what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, right. But here's my problem in that is that it used to be I could take the both of them to get dinner and it was $20. Today, when I took them to get dinner, it was $36. Okay. Yeah. Now I know as well as you do, for $36, I could have went to the most expensive grocery store by me and still made a meal that probably could have lasted us 2 or 3 days. So it really does come back to, I do agree with what Chris at Chris and Larry Homestead said, but I also think, and I'm at fault for it just as well as anybody else, us making that decision is, you know, am I going to spend that $36 on a bag of potatoes, a bag of sugar, a bag of flour, some milk, eggs, things like that, and then possibly make 3-4 meals out of it? Or am I going to give in and give them what they want for this one time, because they have done what they've been asked to do? Now there's different trains of thought on that, and I'm not into, you know, old school teaching or old school parenting and all that, but it's a choice we make as well. So to some degree, I do agree with what she's saying specifically. But I also know that we as individuals, those of us that are parents now or have younger kids, we have to make that choice. We need to make those decisions and teach them, you know, I could take you to McDonald's to get $36 hamburgers, or I could teach you what to do with that for a week's worth of meals. Yeah. So, I mean, that's
there's a place for both of it. Like you said, it's a Friday thing that they've earned as a treat, right?
Right.
However, I will say that we probably look like cheeseburgers at the moment, because that's pretty much what we've lived on for the last couple of weeks while we've been moving. Okay, so it does have its place. And, you know, we do what we do because of the situations that we're in at the time. It doesn't mean that I couldn't get in there and cook. Well, it did for the first few days because we didn't have any gas, so there was no cooker and stuff like that. Right. If I'd wanted to, I could have got the slow cooker out and done something. But I didn't want to. I was exhausted. And it was like, I don't want to. You know, I really didn't.
You get to that point.
You know, and you do get to that point.
So let's be honest about it, because really, you make a valid point very specifically to where my evening was. I knew I had a couple chats I wanted to go to. I had my video I had to finish editing. The kids had done what, you know, the treat aspect of it. And I didn't want to have to cook dinner. Yeah. It really comes down to, I think it was just Jan that said it. I think folks have become apathetic and have forgotten the natural ways of cooking, but it also we've forgotten how to budget ourselves as well. we've also forgot how to teach the kids, because we run into this whirlwind we get into.
We just want to get it done because we
want to
have
get it done.
1,000 more things that we're doing now than we were, say, 20 years ago.
Right.
You know, our time is being taken up far more by people having to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, just to make ends meet. So they don't have that time. They're just like, oh, do you know what? I don't have time to teach you. I'm just going to have to get it. Just let me get it done. You know, so if they are going to be cooking at home, it tends to be like on the run kind of thing. So
I agree.
Yeah. So it is difficult. It is difficult, but there's a lot of issues around it, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed before any of the rest of it can have anything to do with it, you know.
Right.
I mean, in this country now we have I think it's 6 generations of people that have Okay. Bye, hon. Your mic's off, love.
It was for a reason this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Was like your lips are moving?
Just so everybody knows, in the beginning, prior to the live, I was sitting there having a chat with her, and I left my mic off, and I'm just blah 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 blah. And she's like, "Hello." It was funny. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But so okay, so let's transition a little bit from that. Okay. So you could, how long were you a chef, if you don't mind me asking?
Officially, I was a chef for 26 years.
Okay. And sorry.
I had to retire in 2012.
2012. Okay.
Yeah, after an accident.
And I think you've told me that. I wasn't I'm not positive, maybe you haven't, but I knew you had retired in 2012, 2013. Yeah. So in that aspect of the question, did you utilize okay, let me back up just a half step. One of the things that I triggered onto you and your channel is you were a chef. You had food knowledge, have food knowledge. I don't mean had. But I also
wonder myself sometimes, I have to admit.
But I also realized in the way you also were teaching your budgeting and other things like that, you also were trying to make food preparation and processing easier for people. Yes. Do you feel like that transition from those years of experience helped you really in that? Or did you start clean slate and let's look at this from a different perspective?
I learned everything I knew from being an apprentice and being a chef.
Okay.
Until then, I almost poisoned my father and my brother and his dog. I blew up the kitchen twice. I've heard that before. Yeah. And, you know, I wasn't allowed to do anything but use the toaster because of it. So I'm not laughing at you. Turned around and he said, "You are going to kill your children. You need to learn to cook." You know, right. And at the time, my eldest was, he was about 6 months old.
Okay.
And yeah, so he said, "You need to learn to cook." So I thought the only way I can do this is to actually get a job where I'm around food all the time, and that way I will take it in. So I went and got myself an apprenticeship and started cooking.
Okay.
Yeah. Where they had to teach me everything, like literally everything.
Okay, but I get that. But I guess where my question more specifically was, when you started your YouTube channel and you put out there the easier approach to things, did you carry over those skills, or did you look at it from let's just start with potatoes and carrots, you know, the cheaper things, and let's figure this out? I guess
for me, it was more about the skills.
Okay.
For me, it's about skills. I want to make cooking easy for people, because I think people look at a lot of recipes that are on YouTube, and I'm the same, and I've gone, gee, that looks like hard work.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I kind of look at it, and I suppose I might see it from the chef's perspective of knowing the skills to go, do you know what, you could have missed out step 13 to 57 of that, and because it's not necessary, you know. And I think as much as there are some really simple recipes out there, I think you find that the simpler recipes that are out there tend to be the less healthy and the more designed towards doing something with a processed food.
Got it.
So the idea was to show people that cooking with basic ingredients is just as simple as those other recipes where you're just,
So if I use an example, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of where my channel, I've tried to direct everything on my channel is not going to be the easy approach. And I'm here to tell everybody, and I know I shouldn't do it, but I'm here to tell everybody I'm the Paula Deen of YouTube. I will use a stick of butter because it makes my food taste better. I could care less whether anybody likes it or not. Okay.
But do what you want.
I get the healthy aspect of it. And if there's an alternative that gives me that same flavor, I'm all for it. I don't have an issue with that. But usually, especially with butter, and you can probably agree with me, butter is one of those things that it's hard to replace that taste.
It is, but it's also healthier than margarine.
You are correct. Yes, 100%.
Because it's a basic product. It's a basic ingredient. Okay. The only processing has been whipping that butter.
Right.
I mean, whipping the cream. So the problem that we have now is that butter is twice the price of
margarine.
So we get 250 gram packs. So I think that's 2 of your sticks of butter. I think.
Say that again.
250 gram packet of butter.
Oh, I can't remember. I know that, but I can't remember what it is. But we'll go with it. We'll go with it. I think you're right.
Right.
You're pretty close if you're not right.
1 kilo, which is 4 times that of margarine, is £2, or £2.50, and the butter itself is like £1.50.
Which you're referring to in comparison for us. Can you give me a dollar exchange so people understand what you mean by £2.50?
Okay, so £1.50 would probably be around $2.25.
Okay.
So
at £1.50, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
£1.50.
So it's like $4 to $5 ours, roughly. Okay.
Yeah. So if you've got a big family, you're not going to want to buy 4 packets of butter,
right? That's
going to cost you way more than the margarine,
right?
Because you're going to go through it, and this is where the whole imbalance when it comes to food and supermarkets comes from, because you've got the basic ingredients of butter,
right,
which is priced out of most families' budget, especially here in the UK, when you can go and buy this thing of butter or margarine for just a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
So I agree with Chris. She just said we are a butter only family here, and I get that. I do. Now there are flip sides to that, because I will cook my daughter, for whatever the reason is. She loves country crock, which is a margarine. It's a vegetable based margarine, but it's still margarine. So but my wife doesn't like it, can't stand it. So a lot of what she does or cooks with, she will always use butter. So I play that happy balance of sufficing the child as well as the rest of the taste buds. But at the same token, I'm also after that taste. So I'm with her in that aspect, that if I can get away with it, butter is one of those things that I will pay an additional price to make sure I have, because so much of what I do use, whether it's desserts or main dish or side dish or whatever, uses butter. And I don't like the flavor the margarine puts out. The consistency in, say, cookies or cakes is different to me.
Yeah.
So, but that's my take on it. Yeah.
Absolutely it is. And it's a lot different than it used to be as well. Margarine now doesn't melt.
Right.
It doesn't melt. If you put it on toast, it does not melt. It just stays there as a thick layer of
matter of fact, and we have a microwave in our house, not to get Jan started, because she don't allow microwaves in her house. But we have a microwave in our house, and primarily it's for the popcorn that the kids want to eat or something like that. But actually, specifically talking about the butter, my daughter will use a little bit of butter inside a cup. Now, again, we're talking about the margarine, the country crock. She'll put it in there and melt it down, and it looks just like it should. She'll go and walk away, and she'll come back, and now she's like, Dad, why is there water in my butter?
Yeah.
Because it's not butter. How many times I got to tell you? It's not butter. There is water inside of that, amongst whatever else is in there, but still.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, I went off on a tangent, so we'll come back to where I was going. Sorry.
That's cool. It's fine.
I do want to say thank you to everybody who has come in. I do appreciate it. And Blue, you're an awesome guest. I love you. I'm not leaving. I just wanted to throw that out there. And I don't know if Leanne is still in here or not, but I know Jesse at least was at one point. I want to say thank you to them for moderating. I appreciate what they're doing. Actually, Chris, would you mind being a moderator also? Just say yes or no in the chat and I'll take it the way it is. Jesse, thank you. I just was making sure you were there. So what I want to get into is what I do like specifically about your channel and my channel, okay?
Yeah.
Is we're on two sides of the pond. We'll use that terminology.
Yep.
But what I find great is like, and it's one of the things I've tried to do without going too overboard, but it's hard not to, okay? How can I make a chicken noodle soup that takes 8 hours to cook less hard on a mom or a dad, whoever it may be, or the kids that are making it, so that it can be dumped, they can walk away from it, and they come back and get it. So one of the very first things I did was a slow cooker series, and I specifically did it the way I did. Now, I got flack because, you know, you can do it on a stove and make it really taste better. You don't have to do it the way you did, because what I did was I took approach the easiest way to do it. Now, and hear me out on this, because I'm sure I'm going to get some issue with
Probably
this.
not.
But I think it was my chicken noodle soup. I did a can of diced carrots. I did a can of potatoes and canned chicken broth. I think I did. That's the way I did it. Okay. It wasn't the approach that this is the way to do chicken noodle soup, because I'm not that naive or ignorant to the process. I know how to cook it. My point was, let's make it easy for them. So if it really comes down to it and that's all you got, you can still make a delicious bowl of chicken noodle soup that is sat in a crock pot for 8 hours and cooked, or 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever that is. You can do the same recipe with what I have, with raw materials, starting out from fresh, starting out from scratch, and do the same process.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get to. Some people picked it up, some people didn't, and maybe I didn't explain it well enough, but that's what I like about what you show when you show your cooking. You show the easy approach to it for some of these things. Like, I watched you make a curry one time and I was like, that's all there is to it, really? I was shocked, because I stayed away from curries because it's like, no, too involved for me. But once I watched it, I was like, wow. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, they're really, really basic. I totally agree with you with what you were doing. I haven't actually seen your chicken noodle soup thing, but one of the things that I will be doing shortly, either later on this year or early next year, is I'm going to be working with the head of the food banks here in York.
Ooh,
okay,
good.
So as anyone who's watched my channel will be aware, that the gas and electric prices here have literally tripled overnight.
Yeah, you guys have been hit hard overnight. With that.
Yeah. I've had reports of people, their electric and gas prices going up by 300%. So, and that's about to happen again in October. So any recipe that I do that is aimed at people in that situation will not be any longer than 20 minutes cooking time, period.
Ooh,
because they cannot afford it. we were already in a heat or eat situation, and were before the rises in the gas prices and the electric prices.
Right.
But now it's more so. And so it's really important. And if they're reliant on food banks, etc., for food, then they're going to get cans. They're going to get cans. But what do you do with a can? And most of it, people are like looking at it going, I've never used this before. What do I do with it?
Right.
So the point is to make food that with what you have and are given from the food banks to make decent meals that are going to feed and give your family the most you can get from it.
Well, and I think that's important because the benefit we have, sorry, I'm trying to do one more thing real quick here.
Yeah.
Okay, I did it. The benefit we have from being able to do meals in 20 minutes goes back to what we were talking about a little bit ago. Then no longer is McDonald's an option. You make it so it's not an option. There's not a need for it. And I like that approach. And I'm here to tell you, if there's any videos I have, any recipes I put out there that you need for that, please use them. You have my full permission, whatever. And I'm not trying to throw that out that you don't know what you're doing, because I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But in some cases, maybe I've taken it a step further, so it might make it easy for you to just, oh, here's how you do this. Let's throw that out there. So I think that's wonderful, that because it's about teaching, especially when you're talking about people getting their food from a food bank or some other source like that. It is so much about, sometimes they don't know how to cook what they pick up there. And you're so right in that. And that's, I don't think a lot of people understand that. I think we get to the point where it's so sad that they have to use it, but we don't think about here's my example. I know that the food bank around Thanksgiving and Christmas here, they give out turkeys and the whole meal. It does them absolutely no good if they're living out of their car. What are they going to do with that turkey? I mean, granted, they'll eat some of that stuff, but if you don't show them or give them a resource on how to cook it, then what benefit is it really?
Yeah.
That's a process that, at least here in the US, it doesn't seem like we've gotten to that thought process when we hand out a bag of food. So I commend you for doing it. Yeah.
2010, in this country, there were less than 3,000 food banks nationwide. Now there's over 250,000 of them. We've got nearly 20 million people reliant on food banks every single week.
Wow.
And the government actually uses food banks as part of their budgeting.
Right. And that's the other
which is wrong, because it's a symptom of a broken system. It's not something to use as a budgeting strategy. Right. So, yeah. And
the unfortunate part, I don't want my channel, neither of my channels or my live chats to turn into political things. But you're spot on in that.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to fix a problem when the problem is the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
Exactly right.
And you can make a difference locally. I can make a difference locally. Yeah. Chris and Larry can set up a community garden, we'll say. Jan can do one in her area, whoever it is. Jesse can do one down in Texas. The problem is that when you have 300 or almost 500 million people, it's kind of hard for 10 people to make a difference when the government funding them doesn't happen to step up and fix that problem. So there's my spiel.
I totally get it. And the worst part is that probably 83%, around 83% of the people using the food banks are what is known as working poor. So they're all working people. They just can't afford to feed their families.
So just to give you a little example of how bad this was, and I'll use my wife's mom and dad. And this just infuriates me to no end. And it's only one example, one situation. They worked hard all their lives. He was in the military. She worked in a school kitchen for 18 years, almost 20 years. When they both had to retire, they both went under Social Security. And obviously, he didn't have a retirement coming in. And she had very little coming from the school district. They went to DSHS, which is our local, I need help with food center. They said, okay, we'll help you. We'll give you $16 a month. 2 people, $16 a month.
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted. And her dad said they can keep their $16. That's an insult. For all the years I paid into taxes, I've done what I need to do. I've served my country. I've done this. I've done that. And you want to offer me $16 when I really need it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys have the same problem over there.
We do.
Yes.
We do.
Yeah. But
you know, it's horrifying. It really is. You know.
Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah.
We've no pun intended, glued the mood a little here, so let's move on. What is it that you find, okay, being that you're a channel across the pond, other than the time difference, because I know that's a big deal for you guys. I mean, here it is 5 o'clock in the morning and it's not even 10 o'clock my time PM. So time is an issue. What do you find as a over the pond channel is a challenge when you're trying to interact with US channels or from whatever other country it might be?
Sometimes there's a language barrier. I mean, I laugh. I've been asked several times, do I speak a second language? And I said, well, I speak about 15 different variations of English. I think that's enough.
Yeah.
You know, because we all call things different things. And there's so many videos out on there on YouTube of, you know, Aussie English to English to American English to Canadian English to Chinese English and stuff. So it's all very, very different. And if you don't know the different wording, it can be very difficult. You know?
Is it you that says it? I think you, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Don't you call the way we talk proper English? No. Or do you call the way you guys talk proper English?
Well, it is because we're in England. We're where it started, okay? You guys talk Shakespearean or whatever it is. Some derivative.
That's funny. I love that. I find it humorous because and help me with this. What does Daz call his chickens?
Chooks.
I laughed first time I heard that, and it wasn't nothing against him. I just had never heard anybody call it that before, and I'm like, I had to go back and listen to it 3-4 times. What did he say?
Yeah.
But that shows you where some of the issue comes in. We're calling the same thing 3 or 4 or 5 different things, and trying to understand what each is talking about. The other thing I found interesting is because, excuse me, sorry, Blue is going to be in the Jammin' Up June collaboration. Now, Blue is the only channel, I'm trying to think, yes, the only channel that is not from the United States. So when you laugh,
pressure.
None whatsoever. So when we had the conversation, it was discussed, you know, because in that collaboration, I tried to make sure that everybody was following safe recipes. Well, it's kind of hard for her to follow our safe recipes when she doesn't follow that process. That to me can also seem to be a barrier when you're doing a collaboration or you're going on a channel to do, say, a live cooking segment, or I'm sure there's a million other things we can talk about that fall into that category. But I would think that, and I'm assuming by how you're gesturing, that is an issue at times.
It can be. It can be. Your mic's going a bit crackly, huh?
Crackly?
Yeah, it's gone sort of like as if you're talking in a tin can.
Okay, no tin cans allowed. Let me start that over.
But yes, you're right. It can be because we just use traditional methods of preserving food. We don't use fancy equipment. You know, we just do it. And don't have a problem with it. Don't have a problem with it.
So you guys don't run into the same issue we do in the sense of, like, and I'm not really trying to get into this discussion right now, but where you'll have some that follow guidelines and some that don't.
Yeah.
You don't have that issue because you guys just all follow the same process, I'm assuming, is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. For example, with jams and jellies and stuff like that, we don't water bath it. We don't pressure can it. It gets heat sealed in the jars as it is, because the sugar levels are such that it's not necessary. It's not necessary because the sugar's a preservative.
Right.
You know,
and
it's the same.
That has been an argument that I've actually, as much as I follow the guidelines, in the science of it, I understand exactly that point. Yeah. You're taking 5 cups of fruit and putting 8 cups of sugar in it. There is no reason it shouldn't be, doing what it needs to. But unfortunately, people have a tendency, well, if I got 5 cups of fruit, 8 cups of sugar, why can't I put 8 cups of fruit and 8 cups of sugar? They've now changed that structure setup altogether. Now, theoretically, you'd still be correct that that should set up, science speaking, but it's not any tested process. And as much as I would love to see that people understand the science more, the reality is people don't want to spend the time to learn the science. I get that. Those people are the ones I hope that follow the procedure, at least here in the U.S.
Yeah.
You run into a problem there as well in that same type of thought process, where you have some that'll go out of what the norm is, but it sounds like you guys don't have an issue with it if they do.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, it's the only issue would come up if, number one, your kitchen wasn't clean, your jars weren't sterilized, your lids weren't sterilized, and you put cold things in the jar. Okay, that's bottom line. But if you've got hot jars, if you've got sterilized jars, and that jam or jelly or whatever is going straight into that jar, now you just turn the lid on and then tip it upside down, you've created a vacuum seal.
Right.
So when it actually goes back up, the lid pops down.
Right.
It's automatically sealed, but you leave it upside down for 24 hours or overnight or whatever,
right,
and then pop it back up.
Now I think, and just throwing this out there, because here by guidelines we're not to flip the jars over, because those that make the rules out there, I'll just put it that way, have said that actually can at times, depending on the product, cause a false seal. Now,
that's because you have different jar lids. You're using mason jars.
That's what I was going to say. There is a reason behind that, because we don't use like wet jars.
We just use
you
those.
guys have the one lid use.
Yeah. See, I think the other thing that people don't realize is that canning factories or places that put things in jars like this, they don't have pressure canners in them. None of them are pressure canners.
Oh, really?
Okay, and only 50% of them are water baths. Most of them are just heat vacuum sealed, because they don't want a bomb, and that's what a pressure canner of that size would be.
Right.
In their factory, because the chances are something goes wrong and it explodes, and there's no controlling it.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the only people that I know who has exploded a pressure canner, and had to live with that.
I miraculously have not done it in the 4 or 5 times I pressure can. Don't ask me how that.
It was the first time I'd done it. Well, no, it wasn't the first time I'd done it. It was the first week I'd been doing it. It's probably about the 4th day I'd been pressure canning. I'd been given this pressure canner off a friend of mine from the States. She said, give it a go, see what you think. Okay, because this is, again, 20 years ago and what have you. What happened was that my 2-year-old went past the stove and changed the knob.
Oh, no.
And within 15 minutes, it just exploded. I lost half my kitchen. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it, apart from when I blew up hard-boiled eggs. But, that's a different story.
But that for pressure canning in the United States, though, that is where the big, I'm going to use somebody else's word because I talked to somebody last night about it, but she said anxiety about pressure canning is.
Yeah.
We don't want
Yeah.
them to blow up and put a hole
No.
in our roofs, you know.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that at least the two major ones, which is Presto and All American here in the United States, they have safety mechanisms. There's, I think, 3 different safety mechanisms on each of them. So even if one fails, theoretically, the other one should fall into place. So that fear, while it still should be there to the point that people are cautious about it, I think it's important for people to understand that almost, unless you walk away and do something stupid, like putting your car on autopilot and going back to the bathroom in the RV, you know, that kind of thing. Theoretically, you should not have a problem. You should be able to do it without issues. So
the other issue that I have with them here again is the cost of running them.
Because of the fuel and the gas.
There is no place in the UK that actually sells pressure canners. They have to be imported from the States. The jars are rare. Okay, there are only a couple of places that sell them, and they sell them as with pink tops because it's pretty. Okay, they're decorative. They're not necessarily, you know, meant to be properly used. So, you know, that for many people in this country is well out of range. Okay, and having something that's on the stove for hours at a time, they can't afford the electric or the gas for that. Okay, whereas if you're water bathing or hot sealing, you can either do it over, if you wanted to, you can do it over a charcoal grill. You can do it over a fire pit if that's what you wanted to do. Or if you're just hot sealing, then you hot seal, you know, and then you can do it that way. What I'm going to be doing is showing the more traditional methods of preserving, because I'm going to leave the canning alone completely, because I can't afford £300 to bring a pressure canner in, let alone the jars as well. I mean, it's just not, it's not something that's viable for me at all. So, you know,
when you say traditional, are you talking about like a freezer or a refrigerator?
No, I'm talking about proper charcuterie, so that it's salted and hanging and wind dried. I'm talking about hot sealing. I'm talking about, you know, proper traditional, can be done on a balcony in your own kitchen with no issues.
And this is for your video series you're talking about?
Stupid amounts of money. Sorry.
Is this for your video series you're talking about?
Yeah, I will be doing this as a series. Yeah.
Well, that'll be cool. I mean, especially where you're at, because you guys already know that process. I mean, it's not. It sounds like it's not anything new to those that live in the UK. Okay.
No, as long as you get that hot seal, like as long as the buttons pop, you know. I mean, the other thing with these is that you can recycle the jars.
Right, and we're not. The jars we are, but not
the jars and the lids, you know. So, and if you've got a whole heap of these that are coming in with jams or spaghetti sauce or whatever, you know, you just save them. You know, I've got bigger ones that I've saved from pickles, because if I go around to the world food section of the supermarket, I can get a big jar of pickles like this for £1.50. Whereas if I go to the pickle section, I get a little jar like this for £3. It's like, oh no, I'm going to go around to there, thanks, and I'm going to go and get these big jars, and then I use those in my dry store cupboards.
Got it. That makes sense. That does. So just for clarification, and I've asked you this question before, so if I got the question, I'm sure somebody else has got it. A pound and a quid basically are the same thing. It's a different style of it, correct?
Yeah.
Well, it gets confusing here to us, because you guys will, and again, not picking on the way you guys talk, you guys interchangeably will use quid and pound, and somebody will be, okay, what's a quid? Go back to that. And I don't even want to talk about shillings and pfennigs and all that, you know.
I am not that old. Okay.
Well, I don't know if you guys still use them or not.
That was back in the early 70s when I was just a spark. Okay.
Jan said she's got to go to bed. So good night, Jan, and thank you for all your help. I appreciate it.
Good night, Jan. But yeah, so I get in trouble because obviously I'm an Aussie as well, and
Right.
if I use dollars and bucks.
Oh, okay.
So I've pretty much had it. I've had a little bit of taunting about that from certain areas.
Oh, wow.
So
So you actually were born Australian, weren't you?
yes.
And then when or how old were you when you UK'd, we'll call it?
I came to the UK the very first time when I was 2 years old, when I was
Oh,
adopted.
oh, okay.
I was adopted by my grandparents. So they brought me over here when I was 2, after that process had taken place. And then I stayed here for a year while that all settled down. And then
Right.
we went back and then came back over here when my dad retired when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did predominantly a lot of my schooling here, except did a little bit in New Zealand.
Okay.
Minute amounts in Australia. Didn't do a lot there at all. But yeah, predominantly my education was over here.
Can you hold on just a second? I want to answer this. Mayfield Ranch said, I wondered about putting them upside down. I had not heard anything about that technique.
Mm-hmm.
In the UK, that technique is accepted as normal.
Yeah.
Here in the United States, I think it falls under rebel canning. I know that the USDA does not approve that method because of different reasons. I'm not going to go into it, but I just wanted to throw that out. If you want more information, hit me up and I'll give it to you later. But one thing I just want people to understand, for me specifically on my channel, you won't hear me talk about rebel canning because I don't think they're safe methods. That's nothing against anybody that comes into my channel, and that's nothing to anybody that does it that way. That's your choice, your kitchen, your rules, just as it is for you, because that's an accepted method where you're at. I'm not going to knock it because that's what you guys know. That's how you guys do it. And we talk, just for the rest of everybody that's here watching to know, we've already talked about it, and she's going to explain that in her video so that there's no confusion and misunderstanding from somebody. Well, she's flipping the jars over and you're okay with it. Well, I'm okay with it because she doesn't live here in the United States. So, I mean, I can't control somebody who doesn't even live here in that sense. So we've already talked about it, is my point I'm getting to. So
and it was something that I came to you with because I was aware when you asked me to be part of the collaboration that your methods were very different to mine, and I wanted to make sure that you were okay with it.
Give me just 1 second. I'm looking at something here.
All good.
Sorry.
That's fine. I'm good. I got my coffee.
Okay, so I'm gonna just say this. It is a late show. I want everybody to know we're at 1 hour and 3 minutes. I am not close to being done yet. I probably am going to go 2 hours in this. If anybody, I just want everybody to know that ahead of time. I got her on the screen. I am going to ask her some questions. So hopefully people stick around and watch it. But if they don't, me and you can have a very long conversation by ourselves.
That's so cool. I'm good with that. That's cool. Keeps me awake.
I do want to throw out one more time. If anybody's got a question specifically for her, to please put it up there. And now I'm kind of navigating chat and the conversation. So I think I'll see it now. So this is confusing, but I'm getting it. I'm working on it.
It's all good. Just take
and I do want to let other people, or everybody know, not other people. Ugh, slow down. I'm going to choose to probably do a live chat every week at an earlier time. And I think I've committed myself to the late night, 9 o'clock Friday chat. I think I want to do that. And I love the interaction we're having. We've had many good comments about it. So I think at this point, I'm comfortable in saying I'm going to move forward. Again, if 2 of us show up and have a conversation, then so be it. People can watch it on replay, whatever, but I like the way that you guys have the opportunity to try to interact on somewhat of a better level for you guys.
Mm.
And it's the compromise. I'll stay up later if you get up earlier, and we'll somewhat meet in the middle, you know.
And it's appreciated.
And I hope it is, because I know.
Yeah.
Look what Daz wrote. No worries, Tony. I was not sending you the bill for my time until later. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, he also says 3 p.m. Saturday here. Works for me. Thanks, Daz.
Awesome.
So, I do have to ask something since we're talking. Are you on his show tomorrow?
I don't know.
On Daz's show? I can't remember if you are or not.
I don't know. No, not tomorrow.
You're not.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I just want to throw this out there just real quick, because I don't want to miss it. And if I say something, Daz, please let me know.
I will
Daz,
be watching it though, because
I will be too.
Wow.
Daz will be having a live stream tomorrow, but it's not going to be as typical. Do you mind if I bring him up for a few minutes?
Go for it.
If he's willing to do that.
Tell you what, I'm going to take the opportunity to take a little wee walk, and
Okay.
I'll be back. Yep.
Okay. And if he's not wanting to do that, that's fine. But let me see if I can send this to him. Hold on just a second. You can go ahead and do what you need to.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. Wow. I didn't mean to do that to everybody. So while she's out and he's coming in, I wanted to take a moment to remind everybody that we are having the Jam It Up June collaboration. That'll be every day in the month of June, starting on the 1st. There will be 2 channels that put videos out on the first day, mine and the Flavorful Home, and then every day thereafter until the 30th. And then on the 30th at 4 p.m. Pacific, I call it Pacific Standard Time, Pacific Daylight Time, whatever they call it, Pacific Time, 4 p.m., we will be doing a live giveaway, which have a loud truck going by, sorry. Which, I forgot to tell you while you went out and I was trying to send that to Daz.
Yeah.
I bumped myself off of the live stream.
That's good.
I think my headphones are going to work now.
Yay.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Woohoo.
It's a lot easier because I can hear more this way instead of the loud cars.
I get that.
Anyways, so where was I? I was talking about the collaboration. What I was going to tell you is I've decided, and through conjunction with Jesse and Lisa from Lazy Days Ahead, there will be 6 more gifts given away at the live stream, and those gifts will only be eligible to the persons that are present. So those 6 gifts you have to be there for.
Yeah.
Now, I want to throw this out as well. I'm buying them, but Jesse and Lisa are paying the postage for them.
Wow.
I need to talk to Jesse about it because if one of you guys win it, I want to not make it exorbitant to him because I don't know how that's going to work. We
I
haven't
already
talked
kind of made
about
the
that yet.
decision. I already kind of made the decision that even if I did win it, I'd want it handed over to someone who was over there, so
Okay.
that yeah,
It's already there and ready to go. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but me and him, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, so what it is the Mexican vanilla that's going around. It's 6 bottles of Mexican vanilla.
Okay, I might take all of that back.
Okay, it looks like Daz is here, so I'm going to bring him up if you don't mind. Are you ready, Daz? Okay. And there you are. Hello and welcome, my friend.
G'day, everybody.
Hey,
How
Wow,
are you?
yeah, I'd be a lot better if my camera wasn't so zoomed in on my head.
I think I can change that actually.
Oh, I think it's my settings. Sorry. Oh, that's brutal.
Ta-da!
Does that help a little better?
Yeah, it shouldn't scare too many small children now. Thanks. Sorry, I'm just pouring a drink. Just quickly pouring a drink.
No, you're fine. So to finish on the collaboration, did you catch the news, Daz?
I just heard about the 6 bottles of that Mexican vanilla.
Yes. And now Blues went back on her word and wants back in. So
yeah, I'm already thinking about bribes that I could make. So,
but anyways, I just want everybody, if you haven't heard about it, please go over to my channel, look at the thumbnail or the video that specifically talks about Jamming Up June. There's 31 channels involved. There is a total, I think, not including the 6, there's a total of 19 other prizes throughout the process. So please go look at it, join us, watch every one of the videos. You can ask Blue. I know for a fact you're going to like my video, so we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Give me just a second because so Danny won one of the in some of the live chats that have been going on for giveaways. I've been trying to donate the complete guide to canning for the US, and awesome. Danny was one of the winners and she got her book, so she's stoked about it, she says. So that's good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Is that the ball? Sorry to cut you off. Was that
no, that's the USDA's book.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yeah. So that way she starts with clean slate, knowing what the rules are and everything. And then, we'll get her to where she's doing it all the time. So
congratulations.
All right. Awesome. So Daz, I was trying to go out and tell everybody what you got going on tomorrow because I think it's a worthwhile project. I think just a little 2 tidbits if you want it, take it from a friend talking to you. I think your format of just making it a conversation was the smartest thing you could do. I think there's going to be a ton of information and I think it's important. But aside from that, I'll let you tell everybody what it is you're doing so I don't mess anything up.
No, that's cool. Thanks, man. Thanks, Tony. Yep. Just quickly, I have a live stream that I do every fortnight. For anyone that doesn't know me, I suffer greatly with mental health issues, PTSD and anxiety and all sorts of stuff. And for example, I always say, for example, I've not left my home in 3 years other than medical appointments. So mental health is something that's really important to me. And what I'm going to do is tomorrow night USA time, I think it's 8 p.m. Central in the USA, I'm going to do a dedicated live stream to mental health, nothing else. There's no off-topic chats. Normally we do birthday shout-outs and community news and stuff like that. None of that. It's going to be basically get everyone for the first 5 minutes to give people time to get here. And then straight into it. I had 4 guests. Unfortunately, one has to work now and can't make it. So I won't put you on the spot, Blue, but I'm going to message you and ask you if you want to jump in on that fourth spot.
Okay.
But you can
I'd
get
be
back to me
honest.
in your own time.
Thank you.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah.
You told me you weren't doing
Thank
it,
you.
Blue.
Well, what can
Go
I
ahead.
say?
Sorry.
No, yeah, I wanted to keep it down to only a few guests because I've got a few basic graphics that I've made up to share on screen at the same time. So, yeah, I've sort of tried to keep it rather than have a full panel, but we'll see how it goes. That might change. Look, I've never done this before, and I don't know how it's going to go. And I just basically want to tell people that they're not alone, because in my 1 year of YouTubing, I've now found out that there's a lot of people out there that watch my videos and obviously other people's that have their own battles with mental health. And I've been contacted by so many people, and either they've had questions or they've thanked me. And yeah, I think I'm just going to take this opportunity where I've got a window to the world to maybe sort of open it up a bit and discuss it openly with people. And as I said, the number one thing is to let people know they're not alone, because men, for instance, I was one of those men that were like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm a guy, rah.
Right.
And my family suffered because of it, because I wouldn't admit my issues. So yeah, thanks, Tony.
Yes. Hey, I'm here to tell you, anytime, especially when it's something for a great cause like this, I don't care what I'm having to put off to the side. As long as I can, I will. Another thing I want you guys to know, as well as anybody that I've friended through this whole process, there is multiple ways to get a hold of me if you guys ever need somebody to talk to. I don't care what time of day it is. I don't care what time of morning it is.
Yep.
I don't care if it's on a holiday. I want you guys to understand, and everybody out there, that I fully support anybody that tries to make this aware, because there's so many people out there that do suffer from it. I don't personally, but that doesn't mean I can't be empathetic to the whole process. And I have a clear understanding that sometimes a phone call is all it takes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, mate, because as I said, it's something dear to my heart. And I initially started my channel. My channel was originally my Aussie garden. There was no kitchen on the end of it. And the purpose was to basically tell people out there, hey, you know what? I've got these issues with my mental health, but since I started getting out into the garden and getting my mind busy and getting the satisfaction of things growing and everything, it takes me to a better space. And you can do that too. And whether it be a grow bag in a small courtyard or, a full-on raised garden bed in a yard, you can get out there and do it. And believe me, it changes things. It's good.
Right.
So thanks again. I appreciate it.
Oh no, I wanted to make sure the information was correct, so that I figured if you didn't mind coming straight from your mouth was the better way to do it. That way I didn't screw anything up. I'm in being in alive. It's kind of, you get foggied and misjumbled around. So if I was going to mess it up, I was going to mess it up. So I figured straight from you was better.
Oh, look, believe me, when it comes to your jam collaboration, if you're on live with me, you'll be doing the talking about it, because just my luck, I don't know.
I get it.
Yeah. So I totally get what you're saying.
Well, you could be like me and leave the mic on mute for 10 minutes. That works too, I hear. So if you don't mind, can I dive into you just a little bit about this? Do you like this format? Are you interested in having the 9 o'clock slot to be able to come and chat with people and talk like this on Friday night? What is my Friday night? Sorry.
Yeah. Me personally?
Yes, you personally.
Oh, mate, absolutely. I mean, as I said before in chat, messing around, but I'm also serious, I guess, that it's currently 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon here in Australia. So as far as you go, it's great because beforehand I moderate and I'm often on the panel with Lisa at Yogi Hollow Farm before this. That's a regular gig. If I'm not on panel, I'm in the chat moderating. So I'm already committed to this time frame being on the computer.
Right.
So yeah, I like the way you're doing a later time slot for people that are still up, because there are a number of people, as well as people in other time zones, such as Blue and myself. Right.
Well, primarily, and you, if you do the blah, 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 blah. If you watch the replay later, you'll see in the very beginning two things, and I hope people are picking up on it. One of my primary goals is to bring as much of the wide open version of this community back to a hug, if that makes any sense.
Yes. Yeah.
We got farmers, we've got ranchers, we've got homesteaders, we've got canners, we got cookers, we got gardeners, we got, I could keep on going. We got sewers, quilters, all that.
Yeah.
At some point in time, and I actually was on with Sherry and Bobby Black on the phone with them this morning, and we had this conversation, and it was, at some point in time, we overlap each other at some point in time. Now, just for example, you do the kitchen and the gardening, there's self-explanation right there. Blue also in the same way, she does the gardening and the kitchen stuff too. You both take things different ways and further than that, but that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm a canner, a cooker, and I want to get into gardening, and I've already started prepping. At some point in time, we all intermesh together.
Yeah.
And this separation thing, I get when you're trying to start your channel to figure out where you go, but at some point you have to, as Jesse would say, communitize.
Yes.
It's about building together. It's about us helping each other. If I got a gardening question, I can run to either one of you. You guys are knowing what I'm talking about. If I got a cooking question that I can't figure out, theoretically, I see Blue's eyes up there. If I have a cooking question, I'm going to go to the two people that have cooked for a combined almost 50 years, if not more. You guys know what you're talking about. My point is that there's other resources for us out there to be able to, the word I want to use is manipulate, but it's not manipulate. That's not the correct word. It's the ability to be out there and reach out a hand. Can you help me? And that person say, let me hold it and help you because I want to. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The second part of this live, the intention behind it, is exactly what I'm doing right now. You guys aren't in the US, but you guys are very much a part of this community. And you guys don't have a way to interact unless you get up at, what is it, 2 o'clock in the morning, Blue? Sometimes I see you on there.
Yeah.
Daz, I'm sure you're in the same boat. This allows you guys at least a little more of a window on your scale without it creeping over onto mine being a problem either, that we can all get together and have a chat. That's my point. And I think it works well. So.
Yeah, well, just now what you've just said, an example of that is that I asked Blue to be on my panel tomorrow, but a lot of people probably are not aware that it's going to be roughly 3 o'clock in the morning for Blue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, 11 a.m.? So
yeah,
11 a.m. here. So I think, that's very early for Blue. And I wasn't really sure. That's why I was going to message you and give you time to think about it, because
Fine, hun. I'll put me in bed by about 7 o'clock today anyway, because Tanny's giving me the plague. So, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I love she Instagrammed me, or Instagrammed everybody. I think when you posted it, wasn't that out on Instagram? And I'm like, the wording you used and what you called it, I'm like, oh no, he's got a disease. I was freaking out, and I was like, oh, now I get what she's saying. Okay, got it. So
yeah,
I found that humorous. Sorry, that's all I was saying.
Yeah.
So you two, being where you are individually, geographically where you two live,
Mm.
what if anything? Because there may not be anything. What do you think you could? And I know think I've asked you both this question before, but coming from a different perspective, is there something that you think you could offer to new channels out there that are thinking about doing something, but they're just not quite on that committed side of it yet? Does the question make sense?
Just do it.
Yeah, that's yeah. If I understand you correctly.
Okay, go ahead, Daz. We'll let Daz go this time.
No, I was just agreeing. I was trying to get the finger right where to point, but exactly what Blue. Sorry,
I
everyone.
don't even want to start that.
Blue's name is Pam, but I've known her a while, and she's always Blue to me, so I refuse to call her by her own name.
She is Blue, not Pam.
Yes. So, no, definitely do it, and do not get trapped into. I don't like using the term. Do not get trapped into the "I'll go watch your channel if you watch my channel" thing.
Yeah, nah, don't do that.
Now that I've been quite fortunate to be monetized and that sort of stuff, and what I realized later on is that if you want a long-term channel, it's all about the statistics and stuff like that, and YouTube watches everything. And unfortunately, it's great. Like, the community is great, and the community is what got me to where I personally am now. But YouTube will also watch that if so-and-so from this channel comes and plays your video for a minute and says, fantastic video, well done, and they shoot off and go to something else, all YouTube sees is someone's watched my video for 30 seconds and gone. So YouTube's going to go, you know what? That's probably not a good video to share, so I'm not going to share it to as many people. So by doing that, you're actually harming the person's channel by jumping in and saying, great video, and running away. And unfortunately, it does happen. And I don't know, it's just something I like to make people aware of. So, yeah, I didn't mean to get all heavy and everything, but...
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But
the information you're putting out there is correct and spot on, I think. I don't think anything you said I could disagree with. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's definitely... I believe me, I never intended on my channel having this many friends, and being monetized is something that I see my kids watch people play video games and they make money. That's where I thought that went. And for me to be there it's a funny feeling. But now it opens my eyes up to just how YouTube works and what they're looking at. And so I think that's important for anybody that has a channel. Do it, by all means, do it. But really, if you want to go long term, you really need to think about what YouTube's looking at, and YouTube reads your comments. So if you ever go to reply to a comment, you'll notice that YouTube will have like an auto reply, like, thanks for that, or yes, I will, or whatever. So for YouTube to have that set up in your comment must mean that their bot is reading what's being said. And yeah, you don't want your comments full of, I don't know, like number 73 and stay.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want to have, you don't want that stuff. But yeah, otherwise, what Blue said, do it. It's community, especially this community. I cannot thank everyone enough for bringing me out of my shell. I still don't talk to people on the phone, and I don't talk to people in person. But YouTube and this community that we've got here have got me talking to a camera live to people now, and doing my own one every couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm all for doing it and getting out there and meeting people and encouraging each other. And That's awesome.
Yep. Blue,
Yeah.
you
What did
agree?
you say? What did you say?
now you're doing the down thing. Okay.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, it's great to watch all the videos of how-tos on YouTube, how to make your channel do this and how to make your channel do that. You know what? At the end of the day, if you've got a phone with a camera on it, it's fine. Go for it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yep.
Really, honestly, just do it. You don't
I
need to
think-
have a lot of fancy equipment. You don't
Yep.
need to have all the fancy cameras. You don't need to have a million tripods. Is she hiding her boxes of things? But you know, and find your feet. Don't think you have to do it the way somebody else does it. Do it your way. And one of the things, if you do go back and watch some of my videos, you'll see that I've chopped and changed a lot of the formatting that I do with different things, because I'm testing it out. I'm testing it out for me, what I feel comfortable with.
Yep.
And
I think that's an important thing you said
Yeah.
right there. Sorry to interrupt you, but
that's
a
right.
lot of people think you're putting change out there, because I know I get comments once in a while. Why did you change that format? Why? How come you're not doing this? How come you don't do it this way? Or this is different than it was 4 videos ago. It's, as much as I don't want to sound rude about it, it's not always about the viewer. Sometimes it's about the content creator trying to be comfortable with what they're doing, liking a style or a format, or trying something new just to see how it works out. And they don't appreciate that sometimes. Not saying they don't, but there are some out there that don't. And sometimes it's just like, it is what it is, and I'm going to do it whether you like it or not. So
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And if you've got limited space, like some of us do, we don't have fancy islands, and we don't in the middle of our kitchen, because you know those.
Oh, I thought you were talking
tend
about
to
the
be
islands
size
with
of my
water.
living room, you know. So, you know,
Excuse
or
me.
you know, just do you. At the end of the day, just do you.
Yeah.
And if you feel like it's forced or you're not comfortable with it, change it. Change it.
Right.
You know?
Be yourself too. Be yourself.
Yeah, be you.
Don't try to pretend to be something else, because people will see right through you.
Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that, and I'm not picking on her in the sense of who it is. I'm gonna direct this more to the comment itself. Okay. Me and Leanne, I mean, I'm sure you guys know me and Leanne probably talk every day, every other day. So we're talking all the time. Leanne has been and is my mentor. She's the one that pushed me to do what I've done. She's the one that's helped me along. Okay. And I take pride in I'm able to help her with things as well too. So that it's a good relationship that way. Okay. But she made a comment. She said, and I'll give you an example. Look right behind me. Look around my face, but what's behind me? And I'll actually do it that way. First video I did, I'm talking and that's sitting there behind me. She said, "Oh, you got to get rid of that. that looks atrocious." Now, on the surface, she's correct. I don't disagree with her. But at the same token, there's something in me that keeps saying, you know what? If they see an orange cord hanging off to the side over my shoulder, it's real life. It's where I live. It's what I do. It's every day. Again, not to attack her because the comment is valid, but that's the game that plays in my head is it correct to the point that it's going to stop getting me viewers? Is it correct to the point that I really need to look at a different way to do it? And Daz, your reaction is exactly where I'm at, is I don't see it that way. I see it as it's me in my space and I'm comfortable right here.
Honestly, I can guarantee you there's not one person sitting down either now or beforehand or later that's going to be thinking, what's that in his background? Oh, it's the last of him for me. Not going to happen. And look, the only reason I've got that there on my screen and that background behind me is because before this YouTube journey, I used to be on Twitch. You know what that is?
I've heard that somewhere before.
Yeah. I used to live stream video games and hang out with people and chat way before I got ill. And so back in the day, I had this microphone and I had that green screen behind me, and I used to be a semi-pro photographer, so that's my photography behind me. And so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so all of that combined, and it's kind of natural for me to set up the green screen and have the branding and all that sort of stuff. That all came over from a previous life doing live streams. Now, if I hadn't done that and I created this channel last year with no experience, I don't know if I'd honestly have a green screen and everything, but it's all just come about from previous experience and branding, as you would say.
Right.
But it's not necessary. And yeah, I really hope people don't judge themselves against other people. Like, don't look at my background and judge yourself and say, oh, I shouldn't have that orange cable and stuff, because what Tony and Blue have got at the moment was authentic. That's them. They're real in their real rooms.
I don't know that I can brand this as authentic, but I get where you're going with it.
Yeah, whereas
It's not always going to look like that. I'm just saying, I am unpacking. Not as bad as it was.
Yeah, and maybe that's another thing too. When I was just saying about not comparing yourself like with these backgrounds, but don't compare your channel to other channels. Don't get uptight about other channels. And I tell you what, do not get yourself in your head about the numbers and stuff. Don't
ignore the numbers.
And that's funny you said that. I'm sorry to keep interrupting. I keep thinking of these. The point you just made for me specifically was a struggle in the beginning. When I was at 20, when I was at 3, I just wanted to get to 20 and it seemed like it took forever. Then from 20 to 35, it seemed like it took forever. I could keep on going, and you guys all know the routine because you've been there. I found myself constantly every day. What's my number? What's my number? How come it's up 5 and down 2 and then 3 and then 4? And there is no, I don't care what anybody says. There might be an algorithm out there, but YouTube's going to do what YouTube wants to do. So you sitting there and worrying about 2 up and 3 down and 4 over and 7 yonder is going to drive you crazy, and it has me. And you know what? And once I got to 135, I just let it go. Occasionally I go check it. I might check it once a day, but I'm not anal about having to check it like I was.
Yeah.
Tonight I just checked it before we started. I'm at 292.
Oh, yeah.
I'm loving that number.
That's
but that's also because I just got in and just did what I had to do. I didn't worry about how come I'm down, how come I'm up, do they like it, don't they, what. I don't care about any of that because my content's getting out there the way I want to, and that's what matters. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
So
from what I've seen from my experience is that again, when I was talking earlier about YouTube monitoring your comments and stuff like that, from what I understand, the numbers go up and down because YouTube's got, say, a machine, a bot that's looking out for pretend accounts and stuff like that. So it's watching your channel, and it may read some people's comments as being, automated or whatever, and maybe that's why it's taking some of those numbers away. It's not you personally, so don't let it get to you, because I know it did frustrate me when I first started. I was thinking, wow, so many people must have disliked me because I cooked my sausages wrong or something. And
right.
And it's not. It's all a part of the machine that's happening that we're on.
But I think it goes even further. Actually, it goes less than that. This is my way of thinking, and you guys tell me if I'm a whack job or what. Okay, that's why. I got to thinking about it one day, and I was really listening to, over the live channels I had listened to probably over a 2 or 3 day period. They kept saying, so you'd see somebody come on and say, I just subbed you. And then that person would automatically, oh, I went over and subbed you. happens 3-4 times in a chat, and that happened how many chats along I was watching. Okay, so you get the scenario of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody came on and said, don't do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
If they're gonna sub to you, give it 3-4 days. Then go sub to them if you truly want to sub to them, and you're gonna make it stick. Because if you don't, YouTube's gonna drop you because they don't think you're a legitimate account. They think you're doing the sub to sub thing. So I put that in my head, looking at the numbers with the channels that I subbed over the X number of weeks. And I went back and started looking, and I was unsubbed from some of the channels. Yeah. I think that's more to what's happening than it is, like you said, Daz, where the comments and all that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think the sub for sub thing, that's more of where the issue is for YouTube in general. Yeah. That's just a thought process, but that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, I avoid that term. I avoid saying it and having it in text and chats and everything because YouTube are looking for that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And you don't want their because I think they've actually got a voice recognition system where they look out for words because one thing is, as I said earlier, I'm monetized and I've had a couple of live streams demonetized because of my live chats, and you can appeal the process. And in the appeal process, what gives it away is that it says something like, ask a real person to monitor the chat and assess it.
That makes good sense.
Yeah. So, and every time I've appealed, it's only happened to me about 3 or 4 times. And ironically, actually, what can I say? Each of those times, mental health was the topic. So there must be something there that people have talked about that the bot hasn't liked.
Right. That makes sense too.
So
again, that plays into that whole YouTube thing, though. That's the part we don't know. That's the part we don't understand. And that's a safe, I don't think any of us are going to crack. I think you just have to plug away the best you can. And I really want to come back to what you were saying about the green screen and all that. Don't misunderstand what I was saying, because if you got it and you can use it, please, because I love looking at your screen. It's awesome to look at your screen. I just was looking at it. I'm not going to do like she was talking about earlier when we were talking about canning. I'm not going to go spend $200-300 with some. It's not me. This is me, and that's just the way it is.
Yes.
So I think in 2 different instances, I think we're exactly spot on. Or to look at Blue's background, that's normal. It's just a house. But I love looking at yours, Daz, because yours I expect. It's what fancy. I go. It is fancy, but it's nice to look at, and it's drawing to look at, So don't be worried about that part of it. I'm just saying, like we were talking, orange. I hate this backwards thing. The orange cord thing, the light up there, this over there. I get that it doesn't look great, but I'm not going to worry about it either.
That's where you're at. It's where you live.
It's where I'm at. And I told you before we started, Blue, I'm comfortable in this room. I can sit here and do what I want to. And theoretically, I can hear my kids. I can hear if they're screaming or cutting somebody's leg off. I can get all that taken care of. Okay, my kids don't cut legs off, but at the same token, I can sit out here and have a conversation, and I'm not invading their space either. So anyway.
Yeah, maybe if any of us become this super big channel on YouTube, we can then worry about, are people switching off because of this and that and everything. But
right.
But at the moment, for any of us, you know what? Let's just be ourselves and use the resources we have. And as Blue said, use your phone. And I mean, I use one of my children's old Samsung phone that does 4K, and that's how I get my 4K video. It's on a phone, and what I eventually did was I was able to buy an action camera purely because a famous store here in where I live in the city were having a clearance, and I got myself an action cam to use as well. But honestly, that wasn't necessary. the phone does everything. And don't get hung up about having to spend money and expensive microphones and cameras, and just enjoy yourself first. And
excuse me.
If you're fortunate enough to, get up there in the heights, well, then maybe consider that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're at 1:45. So I want to try to wind it down. We'll head in that direction. But I got a specific question for each of you. And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. Okay. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color?
Yes.
Magenta.
I didn't see that. I seen blue as the favorite color.
Blue isn't the color. It's written like that for a reason.
We'll come to that later.
Yeah.
Okay. Daz, what's your favorite color?
As I always say, being technical, it's not a color, the shade of black.
Nice.
Ooh, I like the answer. That's good. Okay.
For all of pretty much since I was a teenager and all of my adult life, I have worn black jeans and a black t-shirt. This is I think this here is a navy blue shirt that I've got on at the moment. This is probably the only shirt that I've got that's not black.
Really?
Yeah, I'm now, what am I now? I'm now 51. So for the most part of those, obviously when I could buy my own clothes, all my life, black. I like black.
We're roughly the same age. That's cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
I actually sorry to interrupt.
You're fine.
Had an argument with my parents when I was a teenager because I wanted to paint my room black. I don't know why they said no.
Well, I know if it was my daughter saying, "Can I paint my room black?" I would have a problem with it. I would, but that's me, Okay.
Does that mean I'm finally the youngest one here?
I am not asking your age. I was not going there. So
I'm not going there.
No. If you want to divulge it or say that, that's up to you.
I'm 48. I don't care.
There you go.
Saying,
okay.
Yeah,
you're the youngest.
I remember those days so well.
I would be the oldest.
Like it was only a couple of years ago.
I'm the oldest. You're the baby, and he's the middle child.
Oh, wow.
Okay, next question. Daz, what's your favorite, not specifically, out of these two options, fruits or vegetables?
Put me on the spot. I'm going to say raspberries because of, in my past videos and everything, I've gone crazy over my raspberry. I've got 3 raised garden beds with raspberries. So,
but that's not the question. Do you prefer fruits or vegetables?
I misunderstood.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's a hard one for you, I can tell.
I think from a chef's point of view, I will say vegetables because of what you can do with them.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Blue?
I'm going to say fruits on this one because I'm going to include things like tomatoes, cucumbers.
I knew. I waited. I actually expected you both to go there.
Listen to technical up here.
Okay, next one. Not a lot of detail. Just give me the shortest answer possible. What genre of music do you prefer? I kind of gathered that
I'm
one.
with Daz.
Are you really?
No.
Okay,
I'm
so-
actually a metalhead.
So go ahead. What? You're a metalhead?
I'm a metalhead, and that goes from the whole gamut, from death metal to thrash metal to air, rock, and all of that. Yeah, the entire gamut. Yeah, I'm a metalhead.
I didn't pick that one. I did for him, but not for you.
But you know what? I've got to tell you though, having said that, heavy metal is it has been since I was a young one.
Yeah.
Really?
I've not cut my hair since I was 13, 14. I have a long ponytail back here that you probably can't see. But having said that, I've been to Michael Jackson, Madonna, Phil Collins. I love Michael Jackson, Phil Collins, Madonna, all that sort of stuff. Probably classic American rock, 70s classic American rock is that close to being my favorite with metal. That close.
Good.
But I just, the energy from heavy metal is where it's at for me.
So to be fair about this, let me back up a couple steps, okay? My favorite color, I have two, black or blue. It depends on what I'm doing for that.
Mhm.
I would have to say I prefer fruit for the simple fact I like fruits and vegetables in general. There is only 4 things I don't like that fit in those categories. I can't stand okra. It's the slimiest, nastiest thing in the world. I can't stand collard greens, regardless of what you do with them. I will eat raw spinach, but I can't stand cooked spinach. And you throw a Brussels sprout at me, I'm putting it up somewhere it doesn't belong because it is not going in my body.
Oh,
Okay.
come on.
Anyways, moving forward from that,
I'm out of here. Bye, everyone. I'm quitting the stream right now.
I would have to say fruits because of the jams and jellies I do constantly. And I love how they work, how they taste. I can put them on tons of different things. On music, I honestly think I like, and this isn't just a common statement I'm making, I like all kinds of music. I can listen to dance music. I can listen to pop. I can listen to classic rock. I can listen to disco music. I can listen to classical music. I love listening to Pavarotti sometimes. I mean, I don't really have a specific, so it is, you know, the way it is. So, okay, one more question.
Pavarotti, sorry to cut in.
No, you're fine.
Pavarotti. One of my claims to fame is that I squeezed lemons for Luciano Pavarotti when he came to Australia.
Ooh.
He wanted freshly squeezed lemon juice for his throat, for his singing voice.
That works.
Why does it say you're saying bye to everyone leaving? Sorry, I was like, bye, I'm leaving.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Brussels sprouts comment almost had me going. I'll tell you what, mate.
Gotcha. Okay, what is your favorite food to make?
Oh, easy. Curry.
A specific one?
Oh, now, probably. Oh, mate. Oh, I don't know. There's so many because.
Yeah.
Mate. Oh, mate. All right. Tie between a Indonesian rendang and a Indian vindaloo.
Okay. Blue?
I think for me, my favorite thing to make is, and the easiest way to describe it is pancakes, but they're not really pancakes. It's like pancake batter with stuff in it. So like sweet corn or mushrooms or, you know, onion and tuna or zucchini or whatever you want to put in it, you know.
Yeah.
So things like that. It's my little autistic thing. I like flat food, flat round food.
Right. Gotcha.
So if I can stick it in the batter and chuck it in the pan, that's me happy.
Got it. Mine is really a hard one to pick because I just like all kinds. I am not a specific. I don't have a routine every single time I do it. It's just spur of the moment, whatever it is. I like doing it. I mean, and that's not taking the easy route out. That's the honest truth about it. I mean, really.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
All right, guys. Well, I think sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're right.
I think I'm going to go ahead and say we're done. Go ahead and close it down for the night. I appreciate you guys coming. I really do.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, anytime you guys want to hop on, that'd be wonderful. Let me know, and we'll do it on Friday night again. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for everybody showing up in the chat. I appreciate it, and the moderators as well. I appreciate that. So,
Indeed.
thank you for an awesome chat, and you guys have a good night.
Thanks for asking me up, Tony. And
Yes.
yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks
And
for
yeah,
your
good
time.
night, everyone in chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.